If I can tell you one thing above all else as part of this show, it would be this. If you're unfamiliar, if you haven't done it before, join the community at The Shield online. It's online at theshieldnil.org. That's theshieldnil.org.
College hoops is over. The Florida Gators are national champs. And now we're officially focusing on roster building. I feel like we've said that all morning. It's such a buzzword, no matter what sport we're talking about. In college basketball, roster building is now more important than ever. Mark Montgomery, the head coach of Detroit Mercy basketball, never stops roster building. That's always in season. Now in year 2, with the Titans, the Pistons are bringing basketball back to Detroit on the pro level, and Mark Montgomery's working to do the same on the college level. He joins us now. Monty, good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
So you're coaching a mid-major school, and more often than not, your best players are as good as gone. Something people don't realize is that Detroit Mercy bucked the trend here. Their best player, Orlando Lovejoy, who averaged 16 points per game last year, stayed. He did not leave. He valued loyalty. Monty, this does not happen. I'm convinced you could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. How'd you manage this?
No, you have a few that feel comfortable and like the role that they're in. And he's a hometown kid. He wanted to stay home, and we put a package together, but we definitely couldn't put a package together that the high majors could have threw in front of them. And I say that, Dan, the transfer portal don't close until next Tuesday, but agents and coaches and runners are, they're still attacking him as we speak, even though he's off the market, but never off until it closes. But I'm happy that Lovejoy see it's unfinished business here at Detroit Mercy. And like he said, he wanted to do something special, and that's to get us to the tournament and win the league. So loyalty, you still have a few of those student athletes that it means something to them.
And now more than ever, especially with the transfer portal, it feels like going home or playing at home is now a bigger selling point than it has been in a long time. How much can you sell that now as opposed to in years past?
Well, I think in years past, it's still kids wanting to come home. It all depends if it was the right situation, if their position was there, if the playing time was there, or if you previously recruited them. It still goes back to relationships. Had a relationship with Lovejoy, assistant coaches did, so I think that helps. I think if you go away and things don't work out quite how you thought they were, and you have family and friends, high school coaches, AAU coaches, your church in that area, that's attractive for student athletes. I stayed home. I was an hour away from East Lansing, growing up in Inkster. So I knew the value of being home or in front of families and friends, because you have a small window. And at first you think the window is so big. And then just say if you travel, if you got to get on a plane and go see your son or your daughter, or you got to drive 4 or 5 hours, you're not going to see as many games. That does get taxing. And just watching on TV is not the same. You want to share special moments with especially family and friends after games. Sometimes they can stop by practice. You can go out to dinner. It's easier to get home and enjoy that part of it too.
So you've done this before. I mean, you've coached at Northern Illinois, but when you started there, you didn't have NIL, and the transfer portal wasn't what it is now. It felt like back then it was a longer build. It took longer to turn something around. How fast can things change now as opposed to then?
Well, it seems now, if you look at some of the teams that did make it, I like to use Robert Morris, not to mention another school, but Their new package was pretty impressive. They got some high major transfers. They flipped their roster totally. I think it was like 9 or 10 players. And they all of a sudden they win the league, the NCAA tournament. You go from there. Back then, like you said, when I was at Northern Illinois, we took some transfers from, I think it was Purdue, Kansas State, a few other schools. They had to sit a year, so they had to learn a year. And then they got to practice, but they couldn't play. Now it's instant gratification. It's really no NCAA rules on that. You could transfer, you could play immediately. If the price is right, if the relationship is right, and you can get a kid from another school that's looking to come down or shift over, it's happening within the league. Kids are going from, Eastern Michigan to Central Michigan, Toledo to, I don't know, another school in the league. So it can happen faster, but you still, the makeup of the team still, your culture is always tested. Your connectivity, I think that's a big word I'm going to be using next year, because you still have to connect from 1 to 13 on that roster, and it still has to be, they believe in each other, they trust the system, it can work with new pieces. I think this summer, before when I got it at Northern, we didn't have summer access. Now you have summer access, which you get to work with them for 8 weeks. I think that helps. You could take a European or Canadian tour to get some games in with your new group. I think that helps. And then starting the push-up of the season, where before if I go back to when I was in school, we didn't start until late October. Now practice is starting September 20-something. So I think all those factors help that when you have a rebuild in your roster, that you can build some continuity and some connectivity to be successful.
We're talking to Mark Montgomery, the head coach of Detroit Mercy basketball. We have the luxury of being statewide. I mean, this show is on in Detroit right now. It's on in Grand Rapids. It's on in so many different areas in between. And one of the things that I love about how you've built this to this point is that you've been connecting the state of Michigan to Detroit Mercy. There's such a huge Michigan influence when there hasn't been in recent years. Why is that important to you?
Well, I always say you recruit within your state at first. As long as there's good enough players to come here and help you win the championship. Michigan has always had unbelievable talent. We have good high school coaches. We have good AAU programs. Basketball is important. I always say if you're an hour, 2 hours away, it's easier for friends and family to come and support you. High school basketball is big in this state. Those coaches and the surrounding coaches are going to come and support. And then when you're trying to get in the community, these kids go to high school games. They know name recognition. They're looking up to those student athletes within the state. And then after that, I try to recruit surrounding states where we're going to be, we're heavily in Ohio with games when we play, Cleveland State, Youngstown. We're in Indiana playing, Fort Wayne, IU, Indy. So the surrounding states, it's name recognition. People know the conference. It's a good conference. Friends and family can see. And I just think when we won here in the past, Detroit Mercy was heavy with the Michigan athlete. I want to stay with that trend with Perry Watson, was very successful doing it. Ray McCallum did it. So I want to follow those leads from those guys and be successful also.
We've been talking a lot of Detroit Pistons this morning. They got the Knicks in round one. I know you pay attention to this stuff. What do you see for that matchup?
Well, I'm just getting into the NBA stuff. But I know they had an unbelievable turnaround. How we can do what they did in year two. But I don't know what the series went. I think they beat the Knicks late.
They did. They won 3 out of 4 this year.
Yeah, late in the season. I think, it's playoff basketball. I think the Knicks, obviously, they have a little more playoff experience, the run they went on last year. But I went to one Piston game late when they beat, I want to say, like a Clippers were in town. a good game. But I know one thing I like about Detroit is their depth. And the day I watched them, Cunningham didn't play, and they still rolled. They have good depth. They have a star player in Cunningham where he can go off for 30 or 40. It's just building some momentum. And as all coaches say, if you get stops and you get out and run, that three-point line is it keeps everyone in the game. Leads can flip right away. I know Pistons can shoot that three, and I know when they come home, the city's going to be rocking because it's been a while since we've been in the playoffs. So I expect them to pull upset and be in round two. So I'm putting a little pressure on Detroit.
And they got guys who can get stops, and I know that's your jam. I know you're all about that stuff. Mark Montgomery, the head coach of Detroit Mercy basketball, continued success this offseason. Really like the class you're putting together. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
It's Mark Montgomery, the head coach. You'd be amazed, by the way, at the names that roll through that gym. Callahan Hall it's an old bones building, but it's got so much character and charm, and you never know. I mean, all of a sudden, Steph Curry could just walk in there. I mean, he has. I mean, there's so many different guys that have just decided to go run pickup at that building. I mean, if those walls could talk, man, I mean, that is a very, very special place.
If you've listened to this podcast, then you know the Tighten Up's brought to you by Last Shot Premium Hydration, the official hydration drink of Tighten Up. Their revolutionary formula is packed with vitamin B12 and 0 grams of sugar. Helps the Titans hydrate, replenish, and recover. Try it at Callahan Hall or learn more at lastshotofficial.com.